Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Jack Dailey, Director of the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum, and it's a pleasure to welcome you to the 6th Annual John H. Glenn Lecture. The film you've been watching is newly restored video from the July 20th, 1969 live television broadcast of the Apollo 11 moonwalk. The release commemorates the 40th anniversary of the first moon mission to actually put astronauts on the moon. Since it was inaugurated in 2004, the lecture has become one of the museum's most popular events. In fact, that's our problem tonight. We've had 7,000 requests for tickets for this event, 485 in this theater. So we have folks that are watching from other locations in this museum and from home, courtesy of NASA TV, which is providing it both on television and the web. So it's live just like it was back then. Before we begin the program, though, I'd like to remind you that photographs and filming are not allowed. Please turn off your cell phones and other devices. The annual John Glenn Lecture supports the museum's mission in many ways. It is named for an individual who is known throughout the world for the role he played in the history of aviation and space. Each year, a figure or team distinguished in the fields of space exploration or space sciences is invited to deliver the lecture. The 2009 Glenn Lecture recognizes the 40th anniversary of Apollo 11, the first human mission to land on the moon. We are privileged to have the entire crew, Mission Commander Neil Armstrong, Command Module Pilot and founding director of this museum, Michael Collins, and Lunar Module Pilot Buzz Aldrin, for the program here tonight. The fourth member of the panel is Dr. Christopher Kraft, who is known the world over for creating mission control and succeeded Robert Gilruth as director of the Johnson Space Center. Tonight's program is being made possible through the generous support of the Boeing Company. In addition to providing support for the Glenn Lecture since its inception, the company has partnered with the Smithsonian on many important projects. Construction of Phase 2 of the museum's Stephen F. Udvar-Hazy Center in Chantilly, Virginia is well underway. In recognition of the Boeing Company's magnificent contribution to this effort, we have named the facility's central hangar the Boeing Aviation Hangar. With us tonight is Mr. Timothy Keating, Senior Vice President of Public Policy at Boeing. Tim, would you please rise and be recognized, please? Okay, here we go. Without these sponsorships, these lectures would not be possible, so we are deeply indebted to Boeing for this evening. Our audience tonight includes the who's who of aviation and spaceflight, including the largest gathering of Apollo astronauts in many years. There are too many individuals to single out by name, but I'd like to acknowledge the crew of STS-1225, who recently flew aboard the Space Shuttle Atlantis. You won't be able to see them when I introduce them because they're not in the theater. They're in Milestones of Flight, and so the folks out there, they will be able to see us, though, so be sure to respond. Hey, you palookas are supposed to be out in the front row. Well, let me apologize to those of you who, well, those reserved seats in the front row outside, you can go ahead and sit in them, folks, because they're available. Well, that kind of messes up this little part. I'm not going to even enter. 6 of them are here. There they are right over there. Stand up. Now, I had a very clever series I was going to do at that point. Okay. Thank you. This fall, we look forward to having here in the museum 2 of the astronomical instruments that the crew brought back to Earth from the Hubble Space Telescope. These instruments are the Wide Field Planetary Camera and the Correcting Optics Space Telescope Axial Replacement, better known as COSTAR. Remember that? Those were the corrective lenses that had to be put on Hubble, and they're going to be here on display. But also, think about that. It was determined that Hubble had a lens problem once it was on orbit. NASA analyzed the problem, developed the correction, produced it here on Earth, launched it into space, and installed it on an orbiting spacecraft. That's a perfect example of what NASA does, the incredible things that NASA does on a regular basis. My favorite comment there was, if you can identify the problem, NASA can solve it. And I think this is a perfect example of that being. But it's going to be, those boxes are going to be on display here in the museum very shortly. And we'd invite you to take a look. They're not in the script tonight, but something that happened that I think we need to mention is the passing of Walter Cronkite. Truly a member of this team, and he's what really brought the rest of us into the picture with his narrations of all of the activities, and it was clear that his commitment to the space program was total. And so we'll all miss him, and there will be tributes to him throughout the week. There were many today. Also, I'd like to mention that Major General Charles Bolden, United States Marine Corps retired, was confirmed by the President as Administrator of NASA last week. So Charlie, I know you're here, so stand up. There he is. For those of you Air Force guys who are concerned that the Marines are taking over, that's too bad.